audio, main camera, side camera, top camera, face camera, and screen capture. This is composing music. Right, I'm back for part 2. Here's hoping that next week I can be a little bit more organised and stick to a schedule. But for now, we're finishing up this track. Don't Stop, not sure if I'm happy with the title yet, but Don't Stop is coming along. It's sounding pretty good. To be honest, I haven't listened to it for quite a while, and I opened it up and had a listen and thought, oh, I actually made something half decent so far. So now it's going to be about improving what I think is the second verse, and then going to the bridge and seeing if I can develop that a bit more, and finally the chorus, adding something extra to just lift it, make it a bit bigger. Not too big though, because this is all sort of backgroundy stuff that can fit quite well to other YouTube videos like my violin series. So, let's get to it. Oh, right then, I think that's finally done. That took quite a while. And really, I'm not sure what I'm going to show you because I did so many little tiny bits instead of doing anything dramatic and really obvious. But yeah, it's a weird one, this. Weird one because it doesn't go completely as explosive as I normally do, so it's a little bit different. So of course, I need to talk a little bit about the track and what I've done. So I think from now on I'm mixing everything within the project just to make things quicker and easier for me, and like time saving, and I can adjust things on the fly, all this sort of thing. So no mixing in other windows. still mixing in here. So what I've done is I've gone through and adjusted little bits and bobs. So the French horns, they had sections in the MIDI where they weren't correctly timed, so I went through those and made sure they were nice and neat. Hopefully they're in time now. I then came to stuff like, I don't know, the bridge. So the bridge, and it used to have quite a few layers of instruments, less than the choruses and the verse, but now doesn't really have anything. I don't know what the tuba's doing, but just empty apart from that heartbeat that goes. And then of course the percussion joins in a little bit later without the notes clashing. And this builds it up a little bit without having to add additional instruments, dropping back to have less texture, less depth, to then add what you already had. Feels like it's rising again. Which of course it is, but it feels like it's growing even further. Another main point is I've added some rise and hit instruments. Now with rise and hits, just layer them. Don't just use one. See if you can layer multiple ones on top of each other and adjust EQ based on whatever sound you've used. So if I have a look at Distant Blade, you can see there's nothing really on it. I've got a bit of reverb, a bit of this, Dream Hall. Took that tip from my brother. He uses Dream Hall quite a lot, so I thought I'll give it a go. And a bit of sub scratch. Now what you can see here is I've removed the sub because I liked the scratch. So if we listen to the scratch on its own, very little to it. It's not really a rise and hit, is it? It's just a something and nothing. Then I'll do the Distant Blade on its own. Really crackles around the top. Don't really understand that. There's no clipping going on, but I'll just take it as it is. And the two together, just kind of a little bit interesting. It's like there's a little cymbal shimmer going over the top of it. And because of that rise and hit, because of that little shimmer, it rises nicely into the next section without being too explosive. Potentially a bit too magical. That's what I'm thinking, but never mind. So I've also added a female choir. I'll tell you what I'm going to do actually, while I'm thinking about it. What I used this Venus All Vowel Sustains Light. See, now what I've done is I've chosen a low RAM usage part of a sample library in order to compose things without things crashing around me. But for the bounce, actually no, let's keep that in there. Mute it, so it should be in here. Venus Women's Choir Hall Sustains, and it's going to be this one, I guess. See, already surpassed the memory usage here by quite a bit. Look at that. That's ridiculous. Wow. That's almost 7 times as much RAM usage for that. So if we have a listen to this one, hopefully it should sound a little bit better. Ooh. I don't really notice much of a difference. I was hoping it would swell into it a little bit easier. Moving on from that, if we have a look at our mixer window, so what you can see there is I've got quite a few buses. I could have organised this a little bit better, but I've got 10, 15, 7 and 5. And if we go over to those, we've got reverb on 5. This is from Verb Suite, the Everything bundle. And we've got a hall of 1 to 2 seconds, dark hall. Not sure on it. I didn't use it as much as I wanted to. I wanted more of a bigger hall sound, but I think it just made the instrument sound quite empty. I don't think they're designed really well enough to be using some nice halls. Plates they do well with, the rest of it doesn't seem to be the case. Of course, a bit of Dream Hall. What's this one? Oh, this was the reverb without the percussion. So the hall was for mostly percussion. For everything else, I went for a digital play of 2 to 5 seconds and airy, because that's what I like. And this one, what have I got? Got a bit of air. Simple as that, really subtle, and this also sends back to the reverb for everything that isn't percussion. And funnily enough, I think the percussion ended up getting it anyway, just so I could fit everything in the same space. And finally, just to wrap this all up, I had on the stereo output, I had a modern compressor. Yeah, compressor. No particular reason, I was just trying to glue the mix together. Really, I just chuck stuff on there. It's not good. I should think about it a little bit more, but I'm being quick about it. A little bit of lift, because I think the reverbs really sort of muddied it down a little bit, and so instead of being clever and actually removing the muddiness from the individual instruments, I was lazy and just put some high-end lift in there on the top. Not a great way of doing things, but it sounds okay. And then a bit of saturation from the Hollywood Virtual Tube collection. It's just for colour, just really adding a little bit of interest in those frequencies. And of course an add limiter to just control the output ceiling. Let's see what it's doing at the moment. It's not even touching it, I might as well boost it. Actually, here's a tip. Instead of adjusting the gain on the adaptive limiter, adjust the gain on your latest compressor or saturator in this case, because then you're not increasing just clear digital gain, you're getting some colour from whatever this extra software has. So I think that can be quite nice. So let's see what this does. I don't really want to go any further with the gain increase because the rise and the hits, they really hit that ceiling already. But, I mean, not by much, but I don't want to cause any more distortion, or I don't want to cause the add limiter to have to put even... Oh, words, why do you fail me? Yeah, I don't want to cause the add limiter to need to be used as much. It's only there as a safety guard. Right, so I did finally get this done. This is the second part, it's all complete, and you're going to hear the final product in the time lapse that happens in just a moment. The next music composing video might just be a short one because I'm going to try and use a very select few sample libraries, but we shall see. Anyways, that's enough composing for me today. I shall see you in the next one. Oh, yeah, and I renamed the track. What was it before? Don't Stop? Yeah. It's now called Their Legacy. A little bit more impact, I think.